Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. Aston Villa have signed Marco Bizot from Brest. Let's get into it then. So, number 2 goalkeeper coming in to Aston Villa. If you are new to our channel, make sure you are subscribing. Get on this journey with us. Smash the like button and most importantly, comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So, how am I feeling? Pretty good, really. I think looking like we've gone out to try and sign a number 2 goalkeeper, a position which is up in the air for Aston Villa still. So let's get into it then of what this generally does mean for Aston Villa. So why I like it is because he is experienced. He has played Champions League football. He has been a starting goalkeeper in League 1. He's been keeping clean sheets. He's highly regarded as a good goalkeeper in France. So that ticks a lot of boxes. And the big reason why I feel quite comfortable and happy about this signing is that there's a few different permutations that we currently don't know what are going to happen regarding Emi Martinez. So I'll run through my thoughts on all of them. We've had good goalkeepers and bad goalkeepers at Aston Villa. We've had bad goalkeepers, bad number 2s. And this feels like a good, solid number 2 that can be relied upon. And within a number 2, they don't start every week. They get limited minutes. But when they do play, there is severe pressure on them to step up and deliver. Now, what we kind of want as a fan base with your goalkeeper is that your number 1 plays majority of the games, limited minutes with the number 2. But we're going into a Europa League campaign where maybe first choice goalkeeper could sit one out. Second choice can come in and deliver and play games, which then allows the number 1 goalkeeper to have rest time, and then we can prepare for the games that are coming up, say, at the weekend. That would be like ideal situation. The situation that we've currently been in is that Martinez plays every single game and Olsen was sitting on the bench not playing. And I'll be honest with Olsen, at the start and majority of his time at Villa, I've not really been that impressed like everybody else. But I do actually feel like he did get better and he got better with the ball at his feet. He had a really good game away at Brentford, which was very important. So in the end, he was okay. But again, not really that comfortable. Pretty much every time he had to play, you would always think, oh no, he's not Martinez. So this kind of brings me to the situation with Bizot, is the fact that he's played Champions League, he's been playing games, he's been doing well, he's a solid pair of hands. You would imagine we would be quite comfortable with him making and playing minutes at Aston Villa, and that's the big picture. And that's the picture with Martinez. Now, if Martinez leaves and we are signing another goalkeeper, and we all know the goalkeeper that I really want, really highly regarded in Europe, one of the best up-and-coming goalkeepers around, then he is quite youthful. And that combination of him being youthful and having longevity and having a solid, experienced, older head there as well, that both can spin off and work off, would be quite good. Last thing Villa want is an inexperienced number 2 off the back of losing potentially Emi Martinez. So for me, it's gotta complement each other well. And we all know that we're talking about a permutation that might or might not happen, but we've got to talk about it, because if he does leave, that's a highly regarded keeper. Everybody trusts him. Everybody's comfortable with him. You're leaving a hole there. So how do we make the best of that? We go out and sign Chevalier, and then we go and sign an experienced goalkeeper that gives us a more well-rounded package, and we look stronger and more solid. So that's generally where I'm at. I think it's a good signing, a solid signing, but it's one of those where who gets excited for signing a number 2 goalkeeper? Sometimes who gets excited about signing a maybe like a defensive? Everybody gets excited about signing a striker, a winger, or those positions that we really so like a right back as well. So yes, it's probably not the most exciting, but it's still very important because ask yourself this question: are you comfortable with Olsen starting in goal? And I imagine that the answer would be no. So this is an important signing because hopefully it's a goalkeeper that when needs to be relied upon, he's trusted by everybody else. So that is very, very important for me. So I have had a little look at matches and footage that he's played. So I'm going to run through a couple of areas that I've highlighted that I actually feel like is really good. And when we're comparing him to Olsen, again, I'm going to compare him to the number 2 that we've previously had because there's areas within Bizot's game that I don't think Olsen sort of exceeded at. So number 1 is that he comes off his line and he tries to close down the attacking strikers. Now, that's something that I think Olsen, if we look back at the Crystal Palace game away from home where we got absolutely battered, Olsen is very much on his line. He stays on his line and he's just trying to save things and he can't get no. If you can come out and narrow that gap, close that distance, then the distance that you have to make that save, you've closed it so it's easier to get to. Another area that I think, again, highlighting here is that he's coming off his line and again, he's narrowing down that angle. So he's able to make this save, saves it with his feet, which again is another area that I think is very solid at doing. Comes off his line, makes those saves with his feet. He's also really solid at saving at his near post, very dominant at that near post, which is something, again, that you want to see from a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers, you don't want to get beat at your near post. He seems very comfortable and sharp and strong and dominant at that near post. But also, he's got this nature about him of this Emi Martinez spider, solid, languid. Just he can save on his chest, he can save with his feet. And again, narrowing distances, this is something that I've picked up on, that he does save a lot of stuff with his feet, which, again, you know, getting down low at times, some keepers struggle. If you can drop that foot, drop that leg and make that save, then all we care about is that ball that's coming out and not going in the back of the net. And then finally, again, one-on-one saves, pretty good, really good at coming out, making sure that he's closing down the angle, and he's made another foot save here. So he's solid, reliable, dependent, and I think he will be pretty solid for Aston Villa. I don't think there's anything more to say, really, other than he's played minutes and he's been doing well and he's been playing in the Champions League. And again, we're in a lesser competition, but also, we've got to be clever. We know that we've got SCR. I imagine that the fee's low. I imagine that the wages is low. So that allows us to be operating better, being clever, being cute, and being aware with our business. So, you could say, why don't we just go and get a youngster? But would you rely on them? It's very, goalkeepers is a very important and difficult position to recruit. You sign a young goalkeeper and the flap at one early on, confidence gone. Goalkeepers age, they get better and better, don't they? So someone like Gauchi going out on loan, probably getting a good loan spell. Look at Martinez, didn't really get his first proper break until, what was he, about 28 when he signed for Villa, something like that. so late on in his career. And I just feel like the wiser head is definitely better in this situation, because you can get it horribly, horribly wrong. And goalkeeper's confidence, it needs to be right up there, really. So I've got some quotes from an article that I found that I actually feel like is quite important, because it paints a bit of a picture about him as well. And it's important information. So we'll go through and we'll have a little look then. So this is all talking about how Stade Brest became a Champions League side, getting the plaudits and a lot of their players that were standing out. But read this comment here. Eric Roy's side would have been nowhere without their Flying Dutchman and steady-handed number one, Marco Bizot. So Bizot's beginnings were anything but calm when he joined. I arrived and signed my contract on the first day and trained alone. The next day, I was with the first team. And the third day, I played a match against Lyon. I didn't know the names of my teammates. I had absolutely no preparation. It was really completely crazy. After that baptism of fire in a 1-1 draw with Lyon in 2021, the Dutchman made steady progress to dislodge local lad and current number one of St Etienne, Lars Sanua. After Eric Roy arrived at the club and initiated an upward spiral for the ages, Bizot's performances would reach new frightening level. Then we talk about the European dream. So at the beginning of 2023-24 Liga, only Nice had conceded fewer goals than Bretons, who for much of the season held their second best defensive record. The Dutchman ruthlessly established himself as one of the best goalkeepers in the French top flight last season. His shot stopping and save percentage had him up there with some of the best goalkeepers in the world, with his post-shot expected goals minus goals allowed ranking him among the best 6% of goalkeepers, according to Opta and FB Ref. And like fine wine, he has only aged better with the challenge of European football this season, playing 100% of all minutes in the Champions League. Clearly, being the goalkeeper of last season League campaign wasn't enough. Bizot, he has since shone in the Champions League this season against PSV. The Dutchman put man of the match performance, making 5 stunning saves to keep a clean sheet. The 33-year-old has become the first goalkeeper to stop the Dutch Giants from scoring in over 9 months. It's an incredible feeling, said Bizot after the game to Dutch channel Ziggo. Being on the edge of qualification is amazing for us. Nobody would have thought this beforehand. It's unbelievable. You can tell me 3 or 4 times and I still won't believe it. If we can keep this up in the league as well, we will be hard to beat. So that's talking about the campaign in the Champions League. Their league form did suffer a little bit for this campaign. So we've got a quote here from Bizot about his makeup of his personality, and then we've got a quote from one of his coaches. So it's true that I like to keep to myself. I'm not the loudest speaker. I like to observe, drink my coffee in the corner in the peace and quiet, he said in an interview. So Bizot speaks with modesty and calmness, which befits a sense of hardworking humbleness that excludes throughout the Brest squad on their journey to Europe last season. Yet it's also reflective of their play style that he's been frighteningly efficient. And then we've got a quote here. Marco is reliable, calm guy who knows his job. He has a very sober, pragmatic style. He's more interested in making an effective save than a flamboyant one, analysed by current Stade Brest goalkeeping coach. And then finally, we've got a little bit of how he analyses himself. So even though Bizot admitted himself that there have been effectively 2 versions of Brest this season against the likes of Salzburg, Strasbourg, Leverkusen and Toulouse, there's been a clear demonstration of togetherness and spirit. Yet against Lille and Marseille at home, there have been League One matches that have completely passed Bizot and his teammates by. To be honest, I can't fully explain it, but we know our qualities and we know what we can all hope to achieve together. Is this the price of living the fairy tale dream in European football? Perhaps, yet Bizot insists that still has progress to make in order to reach levels and consistency of last season. I'm not happy with the start of the season. I know I can do much better, and already proved it's not always easy to come back to concentrating on things, but I'm working at 200% to be even stronger. So there's a bit of an insight around the vibe from France, what he's been doing, his personality traits from his coach as well. So I think that's just really important that we build this picture of a hardworking, humble guy who would be coming in to try and improve Villa. And it feels like, they did struggle a little bit last season with the Champions League and going back to the league form, but we know how difficult that is from experiencing it from ourselves, really. So I think that's all, really. A number 2 goalkeeper who looks pretty solid. Can't wait to just get behind him, back him, and hopefully see how he progresses in a Villa shirt. So hopefully this episode has been somewhat insightful for you. So if it has, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.